Wanted to have my friend Nick Nielsen on the line today. He just celebrated his fifth year on the independent side. And while going through the due diligence process with him, I've never seen a financial advisor take a plan and truly implement it as good as he did in terms of how he was going to grow on the independent side at his fifth year mark. So incredibly impressed. And Nick, I really appreciate you being on the podcast today.
Hey, Corey, it's an absolute pleasure. Hopefully some of your listeners out there can take a few of the things that I did, apply it to their own practices. And when they make that transition to independence, which virtually everyone will ultimately do, they do it better than I did.
That's great. I really appreciate it. Nick, if you don't mind, just tell the audience a little about yourself.
Sure. 5'11", 215 svelte pounds. Originally grew up in Southern Indiana. I'm a Hoosier at heart. I love small town country vibes. So clearly that led me to Charlotte, North Carolina. It's not real rational, but I'm a country kid at heart. Moved out to Lancaster, South Carolina a couple years ago. My wife and I have been fortunate enough. We adopted 3 awesome kiddos from South Korea. So that's a very important part of our life, but love financial planning. Once I got out of college, I knew that I wanted to be a financial planner. It took a really long and unusual path to get to where I am today. But with my business partner, Jeff Walters, we founded Know My Plan a little over 5 years ago now. I started out as a bank teller at Fifth Third Bank right out of college. It was literally the only job I could get in financial services. All of the other main places that hire everybody with a pulse told me no. So I started as a bank teller and got into bank management, became a licensed banker. I was a licensed banker for 8 years. Really, that was the greatest blessing that ever happened to me in my career. I had a bank branch manager named Janice who absolutely poured into me. She reviewed every client conversation that I had. She wasn't really in a client-facing role, but she poured into me and wanted to make sure that I was having great holistic conversations that would ultimately get me to a position where I could be a financial advisor. And so after 8 years as a licensed banker, became a financial advisor at PNC Bank when PNC acquired the Royal Bank of Canada. That's what brought me to the Carolinas. I was there for about 18 months, had an amazing opportunity with SunTrust. I joined SunTrust in 2014, was there for 3.5 years, and just reached a point where independence was really the only viable option for the future.
I mentioned this before, Nick, but we just celebrated your fifth anniversary a couple months ago. Just looking back over the last 5 years, I'm just curious from your experience, what have been some of the favorite things making the move from one channel to another?
Being inside of a bank channel, you are there to help the bank branches meet their goals and ultimately help people in that process. And some of those people weren't ideal fits for how we wanted to grow a business. And going independent allowed us to market to the people that we wanted to market to, but also it ensured that we could take control of those relationships long term. And I say that to mean that we would never be in a situation where a client would become so big that we would have to hand them off to a wealth management or a trust department. A client would never be so small that we would have to transition them to an 800 number. So whether someone had $10,000 or $10 million, they would be our client. So we get to choose whether we love the families that we work with. And if we do, we really don't care how much money that they have. If we're committing to that client that we're going to be their financial planners, we want to honor that commitment for as long as they'll allow us to be their guide.